Hi, I'm Mike Mulligan here, and I do know that I haven't been. I could be a lot more professional and stuff like that, or skilled, but I'm working on it anyways. So, anyways, this is TVA. More work on TVA nuclear part scrutinized. A problem surfaced 18 months ago at Watts Bar nuclear plant, still under construction, Unit 2, and it has resulted in safety reviews of 500 packages of TVA purchased parts and stuff. So, it's kind of this is what the NRC does in the industry. It's a strategy. They want to minimize creating the image outside of how they really act or how they really operate. So this is all part of the deal of creating an image and stuff and hiding problems. And so this 18-month investigation, the NRC finds a few small problems, and then they allow the utility to find their own problems, right, and stuff, and it's all secretly hidden. It's all behind. We don't see any of the NRC documents and stuff like that, and so it all stays submerged and hidden, and we can't see it and stuff. And this kind of benign agency, throwing inspection reports, non-cited inspection reports, and balling up inspection report papers and throwing them at the utility guys and trying to intimidate them to change their behavior. It doesn't work. More and more plants are showing up as bad actors, and more large utilities are showing up with the huge problems. Santa Onofre, Fort Calhoun, Palisades, TVA, Browns Ferry, and stuff. And we think there's a lot. There's a lot of disorder going on, dysfunction under the thing here, and the NRC, their regulatory scheme or theme is just not working. There's a lot of stuff underneath the covers that if we really knew what was happening, we'd make the NRC behave better. So this is kind of, I talked about it with Vermont Yankee, and fragmenting information and slicing and dicing information and data inspection reports so nobody can understand it. And these are all highly educated people, and they should know better. They should know better than what they're doing, and stuff like that. And it's a strategy. Believe me, it's a strategy to not disclose problems. And the deal with that is that you can end up with a terribly dysfunctional organizations effectively getting a school grade of A pluses. You know what I'm saying? TVA officials said no hazards have been found so far, but they acknowledge that the new parts review must be spread to all of the utility's 6 operating reactors. You see what's going on here? Watts Bar is shut down, never been operated, and they're focusing all their efforts at finding the bad parts at Watts Bar, right? $2 billion over budgeted, 2 years behind. This is 1960s and 70s again with new construction and stuff. Browns Ferry was like that with the last unit they tried to bring on service and stuff. So so it's it's highly dysfunctional and stuff like that. And so here the agency sits there and says, oh well, you guys take care of the non-operating plant and screw the other 6 operating reactors that the utility has and stuff. So, fix your problems at Watts Bar, and when you get around to it, you can start hitting the operating reactors with new and repair parts that might be substandard. Is this crazy and stuff like that? If they can't prove that damn equipment or that damn threaded seal is safe, then it should be assumed unsafe, right? That's uncertainty gaming that I've been talking about. they purchase a bunch of parts without their safety paperwork, and well, there's no proof that they're unsafe. We have to prove that that the undocumented safety parts are unsafe. We have to have triplicate proof they're unsafe, and all that sort of stuff. So that's this gaming, gaming of certainty, uncertainty, engineering, rationalization, or what have you, and stuff. It is amazing, and like I said, 6 operating reactors with a whole bunch of bad parts in it. Does this make sense? And they knew about it. They assumed that was it from the opening stages of 18 months ago, and they still haven't got around to their 6 operating reactors. Is that utter insanity? Is that regulatory insanity? That the agency is not smart enough to know that you ought to shut down Watts Bar 2 and put all their employees into finding all the unsafe repair parts in operating reactors and stuff. Professionals would have known that. Work to evaluate parts, which includes TVA and contract lab testing, have been ongoing at Watts Bar for more than a year, according to Rick Weigel, head of nuclear engineering for Watts Bar 2. They ought to fire him too, if he's not new. But like I've been saying, these labs, these contract labs, they're public relations for contract lab testing. They're public relation firms. They're utility tells them what they want them to find, and then they go get the evidence. Then they create the evidence to back up what the lab wants, or the investigative service, whatever they use and stuff. And so if they get caught in fraud, it's the lab or it's the contract investigator that gets dinged, and he was corrupt. We didn't know it. But if it was Watts Bar themselves, employees and stuff like that, it would influence you would wonder if they even should have a license and stuff. And so that's what a lot of this is to get the threat of removing a license distant from the corporation. But finding certified parts have gotten tougher. But finding certified, Jesus, I could cry. If the parts aren't certified, then you don't use them. It's as simple as that. That's basic 101 of nuclear safety and stuff. These parts have to have a pedigree. They have to have their documents with them, and you have to test these manufacturers that their parts are as advertised. And stuff. That's the only way you protect the public. And this whole thing of having safe parts has been whittled away by the Republicans. Don't have a big government. Don't make them inspect anything. Don't make them have any rules. You yank the rules away from. Give the utilities a break, and they can use lower quality parts. It's all been going on. This has been Republicans working on the NRC for decades and stuff. Joe Williams, TVA General Manager for Nuclear Power Engineering, said the problem for TVA is one of rules interpretation. Rules interpretation. So what goes. Rules are your God. A rule in your book is your conscience, right? You go by the rules, and you don't sit back isolated from rules and stuff, and you don't think in your head. Does that rule make sense? Is that rule going to protect our nation? We're a nation of mechanical rule followers instead of a nation of people with a conscience, and is educated enough to understand how important their conscience is, and to be educated enough to know how little information is carried in rules. Rules carry so little information. Our brains are so big. I could talking about that again, but But you ought to think about that. A couple of sentences in a thing, and the definition of words have so many different meanings. One word has a lot of definitions, and we choose the definition to fit this, to fit how we're talking and stuff like that. We have a sliding scale of definitions. How we use definitions of words. Believe me, we all do. Almost every time we use a word, it has a definite definition. But don't get me talking into that. Talking about that. So I think what happened is over the years it had gotten more difficult for some of the nuclear plant operators to get components. So they have gone out of the market to get them themselves. Letford said. What we don't know yet is how complete TVA's work has been on assuring purchases were nuclear worthy. We are nuclear worthy, right? 6 operating reactors. They haven't even gotten to do them yet. Half of the scrap at Watts Bar is it's unknown state. 18 months later, they still don't know what's going. Half of the shit that's going on, the bad parts, the parts with no documentation, is still going on Watts Bar. How come? How come they can't solve that in a month? How come they just couldn't have brought on a bunch of resources and immediately stopped everything else and focused on repair parts and stuff like that? 18 months later, they're not even halfway done with Watts Bar. You ought to be thinking about this. Like I was saying, is this the delay intentional? You don't want to know what's going on there, and is this intentional? Gotta make sure my time is good. Sorry. So rules. As I said, rules are my conscience. Rules are the core of my being. I follow the rules. If I'm told to shoot somebody in the rules, then I go shoot them. He said no other nuclear plant in a country with. He knows of no other nuclear plant in the country with such problems. Wink, wink. Vermont Yankee with the threaded seals. Peach Bottom with the threaded seals. Fort Calhoun with the sample valves. We don't know. Probably these are only a few examples, and it's probably widespread what's going on here. And there's probably a lot of events. Palisades back with their service water coupling, essentially reverse engineering and not in control of the contractors and doing studies and found to be inaccurate in the advantage of the utility stuff way and stuff. So there's a lot. Truth. Do we have a culture of truth telling between all of us in the United States? Is this part of the problem? At the time the NRC noticed the problem in 2011 was what TVA called a non-stated violation. There's the NRC in there for you. They know, big picture men. They know immediately what the couple of problems mean in the big picture, right? I'm going to finish this the next time around because I keep going overboard. Be back.